On this channel, I talk a lot about my studies and I go in depth on different books. But in this video, I would really like to take some time to just see where I'm at with my own reading at the moment. And I want to show you some books that I've recently bought and what I'm planning to read over the winter holidays and why. I also want to show you my new bookshelves. You might have noticed that there was a shelf added. So yeah, this is more of a personal, cozy update, I guess you could call it. There's gonna be a lot of Shakespeare in this video. And yeah, if you're a book enthusiast like me, you might enjoy that. So let's talk about the new bookshelves first. I ran out of room with my books. A few weeks ago, I noticed that for university I just kept buying a lot of books and there will be stacks of books everywhere on my desk, in the living room, on the floor actually. So Eric was so kind as to put these two shelves up for me. And yeah, they're almost full again already. So I'm gonna have to think about another solution pretty soon anyways. But I really like that this layer added can now be seen in my videos as well, because most of my bookshelves you don't actually see in this frame, and I just thought for, you know, videos about books, it just gives a particular kind of feeling when there's books in the back, so that's very nice. My mom also sent me some Christmassy decoration from our forest. That was really kind of her, and I put up a little Christmas corner. Yeah, my cameras are there as well. I'm not sure yet whether I'm gonna keep it all exactly like that, but I do really like, I guess, the feeling of coziness I get when I now look at it. It's pretty nice. Alright, let's talk about readings for the Christmas holidays next. I've noticed that I have really been reading so much for university lately and also for this channel that it's been a long time that I've just picked up a book that is purely for my own enjoyment, that I do not have to make any content out of and that I don't have to study for university. So I'm really longing for that experience to just get a book and have a few days over the Christmas holidays to devour it. And that's what I'm gonna do. I'm just not sure yet which book, because the problem is there are so many good books. And also my professors just keep recommending pretty amazing books to us all the time, and I'm keeping a list of all of those and it just becomes impossible to choose. However, there is a small assortment of books that seem to be really calling my name. I don't know if you have that, if you have had that feeling of just a book almost reaching out to you. That's a little bit what I have with this. With these 5 or so books, I feel like I just need to read them soon. And they are This Is Water by David Foster Wallace. Then I have Hunger on there by Knut something. Yeah, Knut Hamsun. Also King Lear by Shakespeare. I think this is just the most pressuring book for me to read. I feel like it's so relevant. Every time I hear about it, I get goosebumps. So I would really love to read that play. However, I would also love to read Madame Bovary by Gustave Flaubert, finally. I feel like that's really relevant to me right now, actually, in my life. I can very much feel like Emma Bovary at many times from what I heard from it, so that would be perfect. However, it is quite a long book, so I'm not sure if I could even get through that in the Christmas holidays. Another one is The Sound and the Fury by William Faulkner. We talked about that in class, and it just sounds incredibly interesting. He's writing from the perspective of many different people, amongst which a man with a handicap, apparently. And I would really like to see what he did there. That would be fantastic. And the last book that I would be really interested in is The Ice Palace by Tarcheversas or something. I'm sorry for pronouncing that probably really wrong. Yes, that's also a Norwegian author, and Knut Hamsun as well. And I'm thinking about learning Norwegian at university, because I'm gonna have to learn another foreign language, and I honestly don't know much about Scandinavian literature at all, so I thought those would be nice, maybe segues into it. No, I'd love to hear if you've read any of those books and what your thoughts were on it. That might help me with my decision, and it's just lovely to read, honestly. Then I went to a flea market the other day, and I got all of these books. So it was like a particular kind of flea market. It was just an apartment of a person who has, I think, died or gone to the old people's home. Anyways, their family made like a flea market and sold all her things and belongings. Felt a little bit weird, have to be honest, but we walked past it. I saw the sign. I was like, I need to go there. And at first the apartment was beautiful. I didn't really see anything I quite liked, until I went to the bookshelves, and it turns out this woman has actually been an English teacher. And it took me a bit of digging, but I found just a lot of Shakespeare and other, I guess, English classics. And I picked all of these up for €5. I'm quickly going to show you what I got and why I got it. I think that is just, it's fantastic. So I got Julius Caesar, the play by Shakespeare. I haven't read that yet. I just thought this looked quite lovely. Then I got The Corsair by Lord Byron, because I love this so much. However, the edition I have is so ugly. I mean, look at this. This is not a good looking book. And then on the inside it's like trying to look old with the like font. It's just, I really don't like holding this book at all. So I thought, yeah, this is much nicer. Yeah, then we have A Childe Harold's Pilgrimage, also by Byron. Here are some children's stories from Shakespeare. Now, the reason why I got this, oh my gosh, with this picture of a hedgehog in it, is because the plays of Shakespeare are actually summed up in very easy language in here. So it's supposedly for children, which that's great. I can maybe read that to my future child. But I got it more because it just sums up the plot of a play pretty well. And I actually prefer going into a play knowing a little bit what it's going to be about, because it's just easier for me to orient myself. So that's why I got this. I thought it was lovely. Here's this really cool modern Classics Penguin edition of George Orwell's Animal Farm. I just thought this edition was really cool. Here we have The Razor's Edge. I'm just pretty sure that I'm gonna have to read that at some point. That's why I got it. Here we have Macbeth, which I'm gonna talk about more in a little bit. I absolutely love this play, and it looks like she laminated this book herself or something. Like this, yeah. And oh yeah, what is actually extremely lovely about this edition is you have kind of the text on the right side, and then on the left side it explains difficult words to you, but in English. I think that is great. I've had like bilingual editions before, and I always found that it threw me off too much when I just constantly had to switch languages. So here, for example, it explains that when Lady Macbeth says, "These deeds must not be thought after these ways, so it will make us mad," then it has a little note and it says, what that means is we must not think this way of these things you have done, because if we do so, it will make us mad. Right? So it's just explained in a little bit simpler language, which can be really handy, I think. So yeah, I'm very happy about this. Then we got Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. I also think that I'm just gonna have to read that at some point for uni, so I got it. And this is a history of English literature, with a very creepy hair somewhere in there. There's just, yeah, it feels very personal actually to flip through these books. There's a ton of annotations and things. Oh yeah, but I got this because honestly, look at this lovely picture of Byron. And also there's one in the front of Shakespeare. Yeah. I just love those, and I've thought about just kind of cutting them out and... Oh, there's more. Yeah, well, I thought about cutting them out and hanging them up, basically. Oh, now I'm intrigued. Well, anyways, but this book is basically trying to give a summary of the history of English literature. I thought it can't be bad. And then the last book, which has actually been in use the most, is this one. It's a collection of British and American poetry. Yeah, and here there's actually still this like note of translation of books this woman, of words this woman didn't understand, and she wrote it out herself. To cast away means Schiffbruch leiden. To brawl means Krawall machen. Vex is quälen. Yeah, it's great. And yeah, the reason why I got this is because I really love poetry on the one hand, and on the other hand I find it extremely difficult to find poets I like. There are not many of them, and I'm looking for new inspiration, so I thought I could just flip through that, which I've already done, and it has been lovely, and maybe find a new poet I like. Yeah, here's one I already marked, The People's Anthem by Ebenezer Eliot. When wilt thou save the people, O God of mercy, when? Not kings and lords, but nations. Not thrones and crowns, but men. Funny thing is, I don't even really like second-hand books. I always feel like I cannot think freely on a page where someone else has already scribbled things on. So I do love second-hand with clothes and with furniture and pretty much all of the things, just not with books. But yeah, I thought I would give it another try. These were just too lovely. I could not leave them there I just didn't feel like it was a coincidence that I went into this place. Yeah, I guess the last thing I want to talk about is that I've really struggled with winter depression the past weeks. It has just been the case that it's been getting so dark at like 3 or 4 in the afternoon, and at around that time in the afternoon I just felt like a pit of darkness was pulling me into it. And it's strange because I've never had that before, and I've lived in this climate all my life, and I actually quite adore winter. I like it a lot more than the hot summer. I find it cozy, it's lovely, but this has just felt, I felt so much dread all of a sudden, and I didn't know where it came from, and nothing really helped. It really felt like there was a sort of chemical dip, or like a hormone or something I suddenly couldn't make anymore. It was very strange. And I, this is not like diagnosed or anything. I'm throwing this term around because I think that's what people mean when they say seasonal depression. But I've really had a moment with myself where I realized that so many people live with depression, and how extremely hard that must be because in that state really nothing really mattered. It was like, I could eat something or not, or I could go outside or not. It doesn't really make a difference, and that just very quickly felt extremely hopeless. And I guess that I hope that makes me be able to empathize better with people. I actually talked to Eric about it, and he said maybe it's a little bit like Ramadan, because apparently the fasting in Ramadan was originally to be able to empathize with the hungry and the poor, so you feel what it's like to be hungry. And I guess I felt what it was like to be depressed, even though I was very lucky. It was just for a very short period of time. And anyways, the thing that really helped me is watching Macbeth. So Eric and I watched this movie adaptation. I'll put it on the screen. I can just not remember names very well, I'm sorry. But we watched this adaptation of Macbeth, and I had my new edition of Macbeth with me. And there was something about the cathartic experience of watching that movie that really purged something in my brain, it felt like. And I was so into it. Eric and I were both watching it. We did something that is very unusual. We just started watching it and watched it all the way through to the end without pausing once, without talking to each other at all. So we were both quite into it. And even he said he enjoyed it. And he says his mind is full of scorpions now sometimes. I thought that was really sweet. But my point is, I could really feel that catharsis after watching that play, and I felt so much better the next day when I woke up. So so much about the healing powers of Shakespeare. Anyways, I really want to make a whole video about Macbeth. That would be lovely. And the winter depression has not come back since. It has been 2 weeks. I felt it a little bit yesterday, and now I just feel like I have to read and watch King Lear. So I'm trying to get through the winter with Shakespeare, and it seems to be working pretty well, honestly. Yes, on another note, the studies are going really well. I'm slowly making some friends. And yeah, I'm super happy with it still, of course. I'm actually so happy with it that I'm thinking about picking up another study on the side, because I just want to know more. Like, I'm realizing, so I'm thinking about history. I'm thinking about studying history because I'm realizing how little I actually know. It's really quite embarrassing. My knowledge on history has so many gaps. And now that I'm learning a little bit about it in the context of literature and colonialism and all that, I find it so illuminating. I so enjoy this feeling of realizing what our civilization is built on, actually. It also makes it incredibly easy, I think, to predict the future, or to see the things that are going on now as just a sort of pattern that keeps repeating itself. And yeah, I'm fascinated. Somehow I'm so loving it that I'm really thinking about doing history on the side. Yeah, but there's also a few other options I'm thinking about. I was also considering philosophy, even though that I think is a lot drier than one would imagine. I've also been thinking about Scandinavistic, so Scandinavian culture, language, and literature, or theater, film, and media. I don't know, I would just love something that is not exactly literature, but kind of borders it enough so I can tie it into my reading. And yeah, I just yeah, I'm gonna give it a little bit of thought and maybe try out some lessons in the next weeks. Just sit in one of those classes and see how I like them. But yeah, in general, I'm just feeling like so many areas of study are opening up to me at the moment that I don't even really know which direction it's gonna go in yet. Like, I started studying literature thinking I kind of know what I like, but now I'm not so sure anymore. Yeah, now I'm thinking maybe Russian would be lovely to learn, or maybe Spanish would be lovely to learn, even though I wouldn't have considered that at all, even just half a year ago. So, I don't know, exciting times in that regard. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna leave it at that. Thank you so much for listening. I hope that you have a lovely end of the year, whatever you celebrate. I'm gonna celebrate the light coming back, because we're very close to the darkest day of the year, and I think that is worth at least some acknowledgement. And yeah, I hope you have a warm and lovely and restful and reflective end of the year, and I'm gonna see you very soon. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.